I am no longer available for earning rest. This is 365 days of slow life. This series is about 365 things that I am no longer available to. It's the power of saying no or saying yes to things that are just for yourself. Today, day one is rest is not a reward. I am no longer available for earning rest. Somewhere in life, we learned that we can only rest after earning it. Earning it means we've reached the point of exhaustion. And we also learned that those who push through suffering, they're doing something right. They're doing something good, possibly pious, because they're electing to suffer. And that causes judgment, not just in ourselves. That judgment points to others. The judgment of self is, I must have done a good job. I really earned my sleep tonight. Even though I was sick, I pushed through till 1 a.m. and I got it done. It also can lead to judgment of others, measuring how much they do. So the amount of suffering, pushing harder, pushing through our measurements for who is successful versus who is lazy. Maybe you've felt this way. Maybe you've even articulated this and said this about people in your past. Maybe you do it now and you wish that you wouldn't. I know I've thought it. That comparison of, I'm so exhausted. I've suffered through the day, but I pushed through. I did more. So therefore my value is higher. And they did less. Therefore their value is lower. But here's the dilemma with that. What happens to someone when they're sick? And I know this is not an easy part for a lot of us, especially if you are a high performer, you're a hard charger, you're an entrepreneur, you are a busy professional, a busy parent, and you don't want to drop the ball. Maybe your love language kind of ties to acts of service, acts of kindness, generosity through deeds. You don't want to seem that you're unloving. But if that were true, that your love is equated with how much you perform, what happens when you're sick? And it's scary, even if you think about it. How hard is it for you to take a rest day or a sick day? Is it a big worry in the back of your mind that you're going to let some people down, that you'll get behind for a few days if you were to take one day off? Just observe. No judgment at all, but just observe what you'd feel if you had to take a day off. Would you feel that you're putting a burden on your team, your colleagues, your peers, someone else, their need is greater than yours? Just observe. What happens if you're sick for an extended period of time? I want to pause for a second and take an example from a woman who battled with performance as currency for her value, her worth, and performance to the point of exhaustion earned her rest until she was diagnosed with cancer. And it was through her journey that she finally accepted and owned that her value wasn't tied to what she could do. She stopped apologizing for wanting to slow down, for needing to rest, and she learned through her eventual victory that yes, we can suffer in life. Well, we will suffer in life, but requiring ourselves to measure how much we suffered before slowing, pausing, resting as a punishment we put on ourselves. We choose it for ourselves regardless of our upbringing. Maybe you were raised in a religious background and somehow the suffering that you endured was tied to virtue at the expense of your health and body. Somehow that's been etched in your mind as that the more you suffer, the more good you're squeezing out of yourself into the world, into life. To ground that thought, if you can't give and do and perform, just as she was diagnosed with cancer, she realized her allowing herself to be valued and loved had nothing to do with her output, with her performance, with her giving, with her doing. Simply being in allowing, slowing, and listening to her body. Just in that pause in time, she learned that worth was not based on performance. She shared that lesson with so many people who have performance burnout, that when your faculties, your abilities to do has been stopped, you're still worthy of rest. You're still worthy of self-care. We all are. And it's a beautiful lesson she shared with us because she really battled with needing to see an output of fatigue and exhaustion before rest until her body said, no, you must rest. You've got cancer now and we need to really take pause. And this is not a judgment. This is not a blame of anybody who is possibly watching this and is in a form of illness. It's an observation that your worth remains. Your value, your capacity to be loved is simply grounded in the fact that you exist. You deserve to be looked after, to be taken care of. Even if that person, the one that takes care of you, is simply you, you deserve it. Someone needs to hear that today. And to ground it further, rest isn't meant to be a prize for suffering because it's a basic biological need. You need to eat and breathe in air and drink water. You also need rest. I am no longer available for earning rest, especially to the point of exhaustion. And remember, your body is your one lifelong companion. Smile as you look after yourself. Thanks for joining me. I hope this benefits you. Like it, subscribe. It'll help me get this message through to encourage others. I'll see you next time.